Today, we're going to learn the benefits of yoga and how it can help heal you from trauma. We'll discuss it after I hit this music. Joining me this week is Lupé Carranza. She is a grief certified educator, an actress, singer, voiceover actor, mindfulness meditation teacher. Lupé, you do everything. What don't you do?
Oh, what don't I do? I don't know how to play the piano.
Me neither.
I'm working on the guitar. That's it, really.
So, Lupé, tell us about yourself and how you discovered yoga.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Nebraska, of all places. And then I lived in Texas for a while, and now I live here in Los Angeles. And coming here to the big city to, do some acting. And when I got here, I was always, in the gym, going to the gym, running. And my neighbor, she said, "You should try yoga." I'm like, yoga? I go to the gym, I'm not go to yoga. That sounds boring. So one day I was working at this coffee shop, and my friend, she could barely move her arms making the espresso. And I said, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" She was like, "Oh, I went to yoga." I said, "You went to yoga and your arms are that tired?" She's like, "Yes." I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to try it," because it was 2 doors down. So, of course, first I went to the gym, I ran 6 miles, and then I went to yoga. And after the yoga class, I was like, "Oh my goodness, wow, this is really powerful. How am I going to get back home?" Because I ran there. Anyway, that was my first introduction to yoga. And I saw how breathing and stretching and connecting with your mind and body and soul is really a great way to learn about yourself and to learn about your own inner strengths, and how you can be more mindful in creating more strength, more compassion for yourself. And then when you have it for yourself, then you can offer it to other people.
How'd you get into their grief counseling?
I was working with Marianne Williamson, and she used to do lectures here on a book that's called A Course in Miracles, which it's a spiritual mind training, and she would give lectures. And there was an author who came by, and his name is David Kessler. He's a grief expert, world renowned, and I met him, and he needed some help in his events, and so I started helping there. And then I realized how grief illiterate our communities are. And when people are in grief, we don't really understand what it is, and we're kind of uncomfortable around it if we don't know what it is. And always, putting everyone to the side, like, "Hurry up, are you done grieving?" Not knowing exactly like how this works. And so I decided to join David Kessler and take his grief educator program. I'm also a grief yoga instructor now as well, just because I've seen the benefits of taking the time to witness the grief and helping people move through it. Because grief, it's grief is love that doesn't have any place to go. Grief is, sorrow that doesn't have any place to go. And the grief that I was experiencing was loss of myself. I had, put myself last in different relationships that I've been in, friends and partners. And I was just feeling so alone and sad, and realizing, wow, this is grief too. Anytime you have a loss of something, a loss of confidence, a loss of belonging, is grief. And that's why when you asked me to speak, I was like, yeah, because when it comes to bullying, there's loss on both sides. The bully, there's something going on there, as your guest before me said, is there's something going on within them that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, if we're at the end of the other side of the bullying, then we have to take what was given to us and turn it around and help heal ourselves and lift ourselves up and know that it wasn't about us, that it was about them. Learn to love ourselves and value ourselves and realize that we are worthy of being treated properly and kindly, and not allow it, which I think is really wonderful, that the work that you do, Tim, with your Keto karate. So important.
I love working with kids and the fact that I can see them come in from zero confidence to to a ton of confidence. And sometimes I get the shy kids who don't talk at all, and now you can't get them to shut up. you know, but I don't get angry at that because I want to see that from them. Because when they came to me before, I was like, "Come on, say something."
Right.
Lupe, take us through an example of a yoga class. What are people going to expect? Because to me, like you said earlier, I find yoga boring. I'll fall
Mm.
asleep, but it sounds like it has some really good benefits. And so, kind of walk us through this type of like, what does a grief yoga class look like?
Grief yoga is based on movement, sound, yoga, and just expression. We take you through connecting with your own self. Like, this world is so busy. We're always doing this thing, that thing, this thing. If someone asks you how you are, oh, I'm fine. But are you really? Like, did you take time to take a breath and like check in? Maybe you're hungry. Maybe you're thirsty. Maybe you're sad a little bit. Or maybe you're so excited you don't know what to do with it, you know? So, grief yoga takes you through that to help center yourself and to find, and all yoga, I should say, to find like what's going on with you right now in this moment. And just taking a couple breaths, maybe placing a hand on your heart and maybe one on your belly, and just feeling like, what's going on with me today? Like right now, I am so honored and thrilled to get to be here with you, and remembering how I got to meet you through our friend Eric. And it just holds a special place in my heart. And then we also offer a moment to give this. Like, I want to dedicate this podcast to Eric, because with Eric, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to meet you and see all the wonderful work that you are doing. And I know that he would be proud of you and of me. So I'm taking this time to dedicate this podcast to him. And then from there, we would just start moving the body, because our body holds things that we don't say, things that we think we're keeping underground, like hiding, but we're not. Our body is holding it. The Body Keeps Score is a great book. And that's why it's such a great book, because I don't know if if you have any pets, but
I have,
whenever they
I have
fall or
two
trip,
pets.
do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. They always like shake it off, and then they just go on with their day. I remember Wayne Dyer was telling me a story. He's not just me. He told everybody a story of these zebras that were, walking in the jungle, and a lion came and grabbed the zebra and pulled its leg off. Sorry. Um, but the zebra felt the pain, but then calmed down and was drinking water after, like just calm. It was going to get healed and everything, but it calmed down because it was able to shake it off. And that's what we need to do with our emotions, with our feelings. It's not to hold them in. And with yoga, with Keto karate, we move our body in different ways to help shake it off. With grief yoga, we do a lot of ha, and just like in karate, ha, we do that kind of movement to get the anger out, to get the frustration out. And that's what's different about grief yoga than regular yoga. In regular yoga, you're just a little more quiet inside of yourself. In grief yoga, you're more loud and mindful of how you're really feeling.
Going back to Eric the Trainer, this podcast started from Eric Trainer's gym. I met some people at his gym, and Eric and I, we started Keto Karate online. We wanted to work on, reaching the youth across the country with anti-bullying, and unfortunately, that he passed away. But
Mm-hmm.
I waited a few months, figured out, okay, how can we do this? And somebody at the gym told me, "Well, why don't you do the podcast?" this podcast started because of Eric, the trainer.
Well, here's to you, Eric.
Going back to yoga, it sounds like, martial arts in schools. I used to have a friend. He was a assistant high school principal in St. Peter, Minnesota. And he actually had Taekwondo in his high school because he was a certified teacher. He's an educator. And he was the only school in the state to do martial arts as a curriculum. Like you can actually get school credit for it. But it sounds, people think martial arts is too violent or whatever, but it sounds like yoga would be a great thing for schools. 'Cause it's relaxing, it's stretching, it's
Mm-hmm.
calming, and it might be perfect for those kids who's maybe a little ADHD like me,
Mm-hmm.
just to take a time out in school and to do those stretches.
Yeah, and it's stretching, it's balancing, strengthening, life and their mind. Absolutely. I've taught in K through 8th grade yoga, and then I taught in a junior high and a high school, and I also teach mindfulness meditation along with my yoga. I always invite people to do at least like 10 minutes of meditation before they rest after yoga, just so they can, uh, come back to who they are after the class of yoga and just check in with themselves. And it is very calming. I remember when I moved here, some girls were running by my house, and like I said, I used to be a runner. And I said, "Oh, can I run with you?" And they said, "Yeah." And they said, "We're training for the LA Marathon." I said, "Oh my gosh, who wants to run 26.2 miles? I do yoga now and I run a little bit." So I went and ran with them and ran with them. And I did my yoga like 3 times a day or 3 times a week, excuse me. And by the time the marathon came, they said, "You should just do it, see what happens." And I said, all right, yeah, I'll get a medal at the end regardless. So, okay. So I did. And I came in 20 minutes faster than they did. And they had done all of that training. And me, I just did my yoga and a little bit of running. But I really feel it's mental. It's how to keep your mind calm when you're, feeling a little stressed. It helps you bring your mind back down to calmness.
When you worked with the K through 8th graders, how did you get them excited to do that? I find that
Well,
really
it
hard to do,
yeah.
especially with
Well,
yoga.
it was part of their classes that they had to take. So that's one
Okay.
thing. Number two, the younger kids, we made a lot of fun games out of it. There's a lot of animal poses in yoga. Frog, um, chair pose. That's not an animal, but chair pose, tree pose, mountain pose, down dog, up dog, eagle pose. So we can make a story out of it and do it that way. And it takes a lot of focus, as you must know, to balance and to, like, if you're going to focus and you're going to break that board or whatever in karate. Um, Same thing with yoga. You have to have that balance and connection to around you and within you in order to stand on one leg, in order to, do a pose where you're, oops, sorry, do a pose where you're like this, laying on your side and holding up this way, So, yeah, I just made it a fun game. And you know what they loved the most, Tim? The meditation.
Really.
I was not expecting that. They said,
Same
"Oh,
here.
meditation." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
How are their behaviors afterwards? Are they
Uh,
calmer, quieter?
mhm. Calmer, more thinking before they do things. Like, do I want to, what are the consequences if I do this? They were thinking more about that
Okay.
and if they wanted to go one way or the other.
It sounds like that would be a great addition for schools.
Yeah, I really feel like yoga would really benefit them. And, as I said, when I first thought of yoga, I was like, "Oh, boring." But you can make it fun. You can make it fun. The right teacher can make it fun for whoever they're teaching. And if they have a background in bullying, then they can make it more fun in that way. So, and it's amazing how even people that are bullies, because, bullies don't go away. As you're a grown up, there's still bullies out there. It's good to have a toolkit on what you can do to help you and to avoid them and or deal with them and not aggravate the situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if I were to be able to teach a room of kids that are having a kind of a problem with that, I would definitely try and check in with them, because I taught at Juvie Hall downtown LA, and they're already in juvenile hall, so they were mostly well behaved, and it was really lovely to see how connected they got to themselves with the yoga.
Was that a detention center?
It's a juvenile detention center.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
we had ages 10 to 18 there. The yoga really connects you, like I said, to your center, to who you are. Makes you think about what is going on with me today. And I really feel like that really helped them. And once they did that, then they were softer. Because when you're in situations like that, if you're a bully, imagine that's hard to be a bully. You have to go around like, being all tough and, just, watching your back and all of that. That's a lot to carry. Woof, that's heavy. But if you can come to a yoga class and feel safe and let your guard down a little bit, then you get in touch with who you are. I remember I was leaving Juvie Hall, Juvenile Detention Center, and one of the boys was rolling up his mat, and he said, "Hey, miss." And I said, "Yes." He's like, "Stay happy." And I said, "Okay, you too." But it really touched my heart, because here he is, went the wrong way, did a wrong thing, made a mistake, and now he was in this situation. So you just never know what's going on with people.
How did that unit atmosphere change after the kids did yoga?
As the kids did yoga, I noticed that they were a little kinder to themselves, and knowing that they're all in there together. It's basically where I went to teach yoga was the room that they slept in. So there were bunk beds lined up where they use the bathroom. It's open so everyone can see. Everyone can see you take a shower. Everyone, there's no privacy at all. There's a guard at the front of the room watching everybody. So when we came in to do yoga, they would push away the beds and create some space here. And I think the yoga helped them see that they're a community, they're a group, and that they need to like be kind to each other while they're in there. We had guys in one section and girls in the other section, so it wasn't mixed.
Did the detention center bring you in to teach yoga? They
Yeah.
come seek you out?
Well, they didn't come seek me out. I was part of a group that approached the detention center. And she approached the detention center because her husband worked for the city in the government area. And she asked if they could, petition to get us in there. And it's a nonprofit. And we got to go in there and teach yoga.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It gives me an idea, like, schools, this is something simple that the schools can
Mm-hmm.
incorporate. Like, be part of their Phi-Ed class, make it a Phi-Ed course.
Yeah, and people think that a yoga class is an hour. It doesn't have to be. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 15 minutes. If you can do some yoga, even 5 minutes a day, it will change the way your day goes.
Lupe, they should make a kids' TV yoga show with you and be the host.
I love that idea. Okay, let's do that, Tim.
Go start shopping that around.
I will.
You're by all the big studios. That'd be perfect.
I am. That's right. That's right. And I know a few people. Yeah.
I think that'd be a
That
good
might
idea.
be cool.
DJ Lancelot, maybe get him involved.
I just saw him yesterday. We have the same birthday. We're on our way. We're going to go to Comic-Con in Texas, in McAllen. The band that I'm in is Tom Kenny and the High Seas. Tom Kenny is the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Really?
And that's why we're going to Comic-Con. But he also has a 12-piece band. We do some rock and soul, and I'm one of the backup singers. And this time, DJ Lance is going to be there, and he's going to do some DJing before we start playing. And then we also have, his name is Efron Ramirez. He was Pedro in that movie Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
He's going to come and play the harmonica on some songs.
Lupé, we're wrapping up here. Any advice for parents if they see their kids struggling, with their confidence due to bullying or due to anything else, and they want to give yoga a try, and their kid might be like, I don't want to do yoga. How can we get them to try it?
How do we get them to try it? That is a good question. I would say make a game of it. And, I don't have kids, but I know you do, Tim. And from what I can see with my friends that have children, the kids do what the parents do, not what the parents say. So if you do it every, even like, okay, 5 minutes, quiet time, breathe, or 1 minute, even 1 minute, start with 1 minute and just count your breaths and do that way. And then little by little, offer it to them. I'll get on it with that yoga show, Tim.
You can start making that YouTube. Start as a YouTube so you can get DJ to help you out.
Yeah.
My kids love DJ Lance a lot, right?
DJ Lance.
DJ Lance from Yo Gabba Gabba.
Gabba.
Yes. Yes. When I think I have so many kids, I don't know which kid watched it. But I think it was Rihanna. When Rihanna was little, Yo Gabba Gabba was on all the time.
Yeah. But no, that's what I would do is, you don't have to do yoga in a yoga studio. You can do it in the park. You can do it anywhere.
Love it.
Anywhere.
Lupé, if people want to get a hold of you, where can they find you?
They can find me on my Instagram, and that is at LuminousLupé 333.
And how do you spell that?
LUM like Michael, I, N like Nancy, OUSLUPE 333.
Lupé, it was great having you on today. Are you any TV shows coming up at all soon? Any TV or movies?
Not yet, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I know I saw a few of your movies that you were appeared in. So. All right, Lupé, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Tim. Such a pleasure.
And for myself, you can always find us at our very own website, which is www.breakbullyinghere.com. You can also reach out to us at our email address. If you have a story of your own bullying to share, or for whatever reason you want to get a hold of us, our email address is breakbullyinghere@gmail.com. Now, if you're a victim of bullying and you don't know where to turn, there is online resources to help you. The first is the government's very own anti-bullying website, and the address is www.stopbullying.gov. And other online resource is www.pacer.org/bullying. Now, if you have had thoughts of suicide or of self-harm, we implore you to stop. Reach out to the National Suicide Hotline. That number is very simple. It's 988. I'm Tim Flynn, and thank you for listening, and we will be back next week to continue the conversation to break the silence on bullying.